It's time to relive great moments with former Cowboys.
Eddie, something one of the all-time great.
You know, that's one of the great things in having the opportunity to coach here at Oklahoma State was the fact that you had such great people.
It's time for Where Are They Now on Triple Play Sports Radio.
John Farrell, former Cowboy pitcher back in the early 80s.
And you know what, mostly putting up with me, I guess, after, chasing everybody around, chasing us around the country.
Where Are They Now? Our weekly talk with former Oklahoma State athletic coaches, players, and personnel.
Desmond Mason, former All-American player here at Oklahoma State.
So today that's what I spend most of my days doing for the most part is, in the studio trying to paint and trying to create, and I enjoy doing that.
It's like catching up with an old friend every Wednesday.
Boy, do I feel old today, as I always do on a Wednesday when we bring back some of these former athletes. We're talking with Houston Nubb.
Sure did. Had a great time. That was of course, my mom and dad went to school there. My brother, Dickie, as you mentioned, went to school there. And, of course, we both met our wives right there in Stillwater, Oklahoma.
Now your host, ready to take a stroll down memory lane, here is Tom Dirato.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome once again to Where Are They Now? And joining us, as we've been talking about for the last hour, certainly nobody who needs an introduction. I guess he does in a way. Joey Graham, of course, everybody knows Joey, a former Cowboy All-American basketball player here, a former NBA player, now a current assistant coach at Stillwater High School. But, Joey, that's not why I called you. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But one of the things that I wanted to get into, and I hope we're going to get a favorable reaction. I haven't tested the water yet, so you may throw me a curve. But
Okay.
For those of you who remember that Joey was drafted 16th overall pick in 2005 by the Toronto Raptors, what are your feelings since Toronto won the NBA championship?
I am so happy for them. It's been a long time coming. That's a fairly new organization, I guess, compared to all the other teams. But it's rare that you get a team that new that's winning, a championship. And Masai Ujiri put a good group of guys together. And he was actually part of the staff when I first got there as a rookie. So I was happy to see him win one for the home team.
What's it like? You can give us a good feel for the fans. I mean, they're I say long suffering. I mean, they haven't been around as far as my New York Knicks fans have been, but still always looking to win one, and finally they got it done.
Well, the fans up there are so committed. They're so dedicated to that team. And it's not just the fans and the people there in Toronto. Like everybody says, it's a country behind that team. Ever since they lost the Vancouver Grizzlies, they are the staple, the benchmark for the whole country. Mm-hmm. So I think they did a great job of representing the whole entire country. And winning it for them and for that country it's a you can't compare that. You can't say anything really about that because it's a whole country you played for. And the only time you get a chance to play for a country like that is for the World Series games or, the World Cup games or for the Olympics. So it's speaking volumes when you can win at that level.
What was the overall interest level when you were up there? And I'm guessing it was just as just excited as they were this year. But did they ever hold out hope that eternal, this year will be our year kind of thing?
You know what? They're always hopeful. When I first went up there, I really thought it was about hockey. And at the time, the Blue Jays were doing really well. They had a great group of guys for the baseball team. And it really wasn't about basketball. Because when I came in, we were actually losing Vince Carter, and as everybody knows, mm-hmm. Vince was the man there. He's the guy that kind of put Toronto Raptors on the map. He's the one that let everybody know that we do have a team up here in this country. And after he left, a lot of people kind of just went their own separate ways, and a lot of people were supporting the hockey team and the baseball team, and not the basketball team. So when I first got there, we were kind of rebuilding. And, of course, anytime you're rebuilding, it's going to take a couple years, and that's exactly what it did when we had the group of guys that we had there. We had 3 rookies that came in and played a lot of minutes, and the next couple years after that, there were a lot of trades, a lot of cuts, a lot of guys that came and went in and out of that organization. So, but they've over the years they've done a great job of drafting good talent, drafting some good guys, and changing the staff and the upper management around to fit exactly what that country and that organization needed. And right now you see where they're at. They've done some great moves, some great positions, and won a championship, and that's what it's about.
I've got to think those fans are maybe the most patient people in the world, because let's face it, every group of fans, every year they start, no matter what the sport, they're going to win a championship, whatever that sport is. But some years, you mentioned, you got a lot of youth. Some years it doesn't work. But it sounds like they were behind you no matter what. They
are. They are a committed and dedicated group of people there. And, for the last few years, the league has kind of been a little different. We've built these super teams up, and you kind of already know going into the season who's favored.
Yeah.
Toronto in the last couple years wasn't, that team that was favored, saying that they were going to make it to the finals and win. Yes, we knew that they were going to have a great team and they were going to compete, and they were going to have a team that was going to get, deep into the Eastern Conference and, possibly win the Eastern Conference Finals. But you never had a group of guys until now where they said, we have a chance. And this year, the Eastern Conference was pretty tough. You had Philly, you had Boston, you had, some of the other teams down there that, and of course Toronto, like those teams played and competed well. Mm-hmm. And you got the MVP player in the Milwaukee Bucks. They did a great thing. They had a great run. And it was tit for tat with Toronto. And I honestly think that if Milwaukee would have made it to the finals as well, they might have done the same thing to Golden State as well. But that's granted, all of Golden State guys were unhealthy. Most of those guys had some injuries, and, KD went out, Clay went out, Cousins was just coming back into the mix. So it's hard to say, but you don't want to say, yeah, that was the reason why they won. You never want to say that, because every year somebody's always hurt in the finals.
Yeah, you just kind of
did a great job with that.
Yeah, you took the next question away. Does that take anything away from the win now that they had all those injuries?
Not at all. Every year there's somebody that's hurt. Every year one of the main players has some type of ailment. And as you know, and I know, and everybody else that does what we do, TD, that you never can play a game healthy. Mm-hmm. That's just part of the nature of the game. Somebody has some type of ailment, some type of injury, something. It's part of the game. And especially if you're a physical player and a physical team as the Toronto Raptors or the Golden State Warriors, you're going to have guys that are beat up and banged up. So, you don't want to take anything away from the Raptors. They did a great job of what they had. And, they played Golden State the hardest that they could with what they had. And they won it. Can't take anything away from the Raptors.
You mentioned a coach, but you play for two other teams since then. But
yep.
Did you stay close to anybody in the Toronto organization?
I still talk to a lot of those guys up there. I've texted Masai a few times. A lot of the guys that were there, that are players that are there now, mm-hmm. they were on other teams. So, of course, I spoke to them when they were on other teams. But as far as the Raptors, I congratulated most of the guys that I knew. But as far as the staff and the upper management, a lot of those guys are still there. And I've texted and called a couple of those guys and congratulated them on, finally winning the championship. So they were happy to hear from me, asked me the same thing you're asking me, what am I doing now? And, when are we going to see you again? When are we going to get you back up in Toronto? So.
Well, that would be the next question I'd ask you, because I did text you and say, are you in Toronto? And you told me, no, I'm in Broken Bow. Which was
they text me all the time and want me to come up. They want me to come up, and when I was there, I had a pretty good career and did a lot of good things for that organization, especially off the court. So when you're that type of player and you're that type of guy, and you do a lot of things more than just basketball for the city outside of basketball, it sticks. And they love you for it. So anytime I go back to Toronto, it's all love, and they embrace me with open arms anytime and every time I go.
That's such a great city. I used to spend a lot of time up there with the hockey team when they were the parent club of the Oklahoma City team back in the day. Always impressed with the city. But getting back to your involvement with the community, kind of run some things that you did. I know you traveled around a lot to the different provinces. But what was it like?
It was the most amazing experience that you can actually come across. The people in Canada are so embracing. They're so open-armed and welcoming to just every type of diverse culture that you can go from the east to the west coast of the country. And as you mentioned, when I was there, I did a lot of camps, I did a lot of trainings, I did a lot of speaking engagements, and it was all the way from Quebec to Nova Scotia to, everywhere. Saskatchewan, Edmonton, Montreal, I was all over the place. So I think I did a good job leaving my mark up there at the time that I was up there.
Now, you made mention of the fact that it was the country's team once Vancouver was done, and now Toronto was left. Did the other areas of the country embrace you guys as much, and did that surprise you?
Oh, it didn't surprise me at all. It's a country's team, and like I said, the only way that you can get that same type of experience, that same type of homey feeling, is if you are from another country. Let's just say Europe, Germany, or another country that's over there, Australia. The one team that they have when they put together in the Olympics, they're representing the whole country, right? So as far as when you're saying Canada, you're representing that whole country. And that's every province, every city, every area that's up there in Toronto. So when we would go around and do these camps and do these speaking engagements in these other cities and other towns, of course, they knew who you were. They loved you. When we would go around and do preseason tours around these other cities, they loved you. And they knew that you were there to represent them, not just the city of Toronto, but their city as well. So it was a great feeling, great atmosphere throughout the whole country.
I've heard baseball players say this in years past, not a lot, but a few, that, one of the drawbacks of playing baseball up there was the fact they never felt a part of the area. They never felt them because they're from the U.S. and they were just up there for whatever it was, 6 months. I'm getting the feel you never felt that way.
Not at all. Not at all. TD, it's when you get up there and you're around a bunch of people that make you feel like you're at home, you can't take anything away from that. And that's the same feeling I got when I came to Oklahoma State, the same feeling when I went up there to Toronto. They made you feel like you're very welcome. They made you feel like you're at home. And it's a great feeling. There's no other feeling that's like that.
When you look around at some of the other franchises, and it seems like some of them are in more turmoil than others. Maybe the players create that. Maybe ownership creates that. Where would you, and this is a broad-based question, but where would you think the NBA is in a good place in terms of acceptability?
Well, acceptability in what aspect, though?
Well, just from one end of the spectrum to the other. The fans love it. The media like it. Do they like the players? Are the players good representatives? Is the brand of basketball what people like?
The brand of the NBA is in no better place than it has ever been since there has been an NBA. It's a global organization. They pull guys from every single facet, every single walk of life into the NBA. And once you get into that fraternity, it's forever. And they're expanding the boundaries of it. You can't go anywhere in the world where anybody doesn't know about the NBA or doesn't have any dreams or aspirations about being an NBA player if you love basketball like that. So, yeah, they're doing a great job of branding the NBA. They have a lot of different, foundations and organizations that are expanding the reach of things. They have the Basketball Without Borders, the NBPA, the Players Association, is doing a great job of expanding the brand, and what they're trying to do as far as protecting the players and the brand of the NBA. So right now, there's no better time to be in the NBA. They're doing a great job. We got all the TV and the media behind it. They're throwing tons and tons of money out there, and that's why you see these contracts now. They're astronomical. You see guys making, 30 close to $40 million a year, and that's because of the TV and how much the brand has expanded. So yeah, it's a great time and a great place for the NBA right now.
What about the faces of the programs themselves? I mean, not everybody's going to like everybody. I realize that.
Absolutely.
But are you happy with the total? And again, it's always dangerous to say the face of anything. But you can mention 2 or 3 guys right off the top of your head that people would identify with the NBA.
Well, when you look at the NBA, you can't take away the fact that you have to divide it into the cities. Of course, the teams by team, city by city. And, of course, there are going to be bigger markets than the others. And the way that the league has, kind of changed it now from, great superstar players branching out and doing their own thing, and now they're all joining forces and trying to be one, big super team. It's changed the look of it. It's changed the NBA. It's changed the environment. It's changed the landscape of how people look at, certain teams, certain organizations. And for instance, I'll give you an example. Indiana has been the Pacers. They've been a great organization even before Larry Bird was there. Not Larry Bird, but, he was part of the staff.
Yeah.
Even before he was coaching and doing all that there. But he came back to where he was from to build on to the Indiana Pacers. Because at the time, everybody knows Indiana is a great basketball state, the Hoosiers. But right now, currently, the Indiana Pacers aren't, revenue-wise as far as bringing in fans where they used to be. And it's like that in a few teams. Charlotte's like that with Michael Jordan's there. There's a few teams in the market that, don't have the fan backing as they should, because these teams now are putting together the super teams, and everybody's kind of bandwagoning to one area. So everybody's either a Cleveland fan when LeBron was there, either they're a Laker fan now, they're a Golden State fan, they're a Raptors fan, and the smaller teams, the smaller market, and you don't even hear anything about the Magic anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, even when I was playing, they had Dwight Howard, they had Jameer Nelson. They were a force to be reckoned with. You don't hear anything about them. You don't hear anything about the Miami Heat anymore. Before, a couple years back when they had Dwayne Wade, LeBron, Chris Bosh, they were all, you couldn't turn on the NBA station and not hear about the Miami Heat. But do you hear about them now? So it's hurting the league slightly, but they're making it up on the other end because a lot of teams, a lot of fans are bandwagoning it, to other franchises, other organizations.
In your estimation, who are the future faces that we need to look to kind of carry the banner here a little bit? Because the ones you mentioned, maybe within the next 2, 3, 4 years, are going to move on. Now, who's taking their place?
You know what? Giannis with the Bucks, they're going to be a team to be reckoned with. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. They got a great coach there. They got a great group of guys that have bought in to their role and what they're trying to do. So, I look up for the Milwaukee Bucks. If Kawhi stays in Toronto, they're going to be a team. Philly is trying to build some things. There's a lot of moving pieces around here. And one here that I'm going to throw out here now, the Lakers. LeBron is trying to, build another dynasty there like when they had Kobe and Shaq. He's bringing in AD. Right now they're in the process of trying to put in a couple more pieces that they think that they can build a title team around. But you never know. But it still leaves the odd man out, which is the smaller market teams. You don't hear too much about Minnesota. They got some great guys there that are making a lot of money. But you don't hear too much about them. They're not making a whole lot of noise. Chicago, they have some great players, but they're not really making a lot of noise. So a lot of these franchises, Golden State, L.A., the ones that have these 3-4 franchise max guy players, those are the teams that you have to watch out for. But, of course, watch out for Milwaukee with Giannis. And Kawhi, of course, if he stays. If he goes somewhere, I don't know. I don't know if Toronto's going to be a contender if he leaves. It's going to be a tough one.
I was going to say, do you have any insight on that? Because that's probably what...
You know what? I don't. It's tough to say. Me personally, I want Kawhi to stay. They've embraced him. They've welcomed him with open arms, and he's done what a lot of guys aren't able to do. And I can put him in the category with Michael Jordan and Kobe. And in that fact, I'm talking about building a team around a certain player that doesn't have a whole bunch of franchise guys like Golden State did, or what LeBron had in Miami or Cleveland. Kawhi's done it with what the guys he had. They were a bunch of role players that played great together as a team. and he won a championship doing it. He's a great player. You know, I can throw Kawhi out there, like I said, Giannis. Philly with Embiid and Ben Simmons, they're going to be a team for the future. You know, there's a few young guys out there that, you know, you never know what's going to happen. And, of course, we don't know what's going to happen in Houston with James Harden and Chris Paul. You know, there's a lot of talk about those guys breaking up, but I think they're going to stay together. I think they're going to make a lot of noise next year, and they're going to build some guys and put some more players around those two guys that are going to help them. They got a few older guys on the team now, and they're going to bring in some younger guys. And this draft, I think, was one of the top drafts in a long time. You guys are going to see, and everybody's going to see a lot of great things from these young players. Zion's going to be a great player. RJ's going to be a great player. Mont's going to be a great player. Like, all these guys, they're going to do a lot of good things in this team because he's going to Memphis. So you're going to see a lot of great things from these newer guys, these younger guys.
This is always a dangerous question to ask somebody who's been in the industry, but you know, the gigantic salaries and multi-year contracts and all the things that we read about from a small percentage of the NBA. Is that good, bad, make any difference?
I mean,
it's
you can
good
look
for the
at it
people who get the money.
Ways.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, you can look at it a bunch of different ways. In the end, it's a business. And in any business, you're into making money. And a lot of these guys now, and of course I was one of them, you know, you're in it for a short period of time. If you're blessed, a long period of time. But you want to get in and make as much money as you can. So why not? You know, there's no better time to be an NBA player right now because they're throwing money out there. They're throwing contracts out there that are astronomical amounts of dollars. You know, it's the league is changing. It's growing. It's developing. It's turning into something that's pretty much amazing. Now, on the other side of it, are they getting paid too much? Are the guys being lazy? Are they just getting the contracts and getting paid, and then they're laying down and acting pretending like they're hurt? You know, there's a lot of different ways that you can look at it.
You know, speaking of coaching, you're probably getting paid an astronomical fee to coach here at Stillwater High School. I know that for a fact. I mean,
I wish.
It's not everybody who takes the Brinks truck to the bank every day like you do.
Yeah.
But how's that coaching thing going on, man? I mean, are you a better coach today than you were a year ago?
Well, you have no other choice but to grow.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way. And every day I'm around these kids, you learn something new, and you learn something that you can implement to help these kids, not just in basketball, but in life. You know, a lot of these guys play multiple sports. Maybe basketball is not their main sport, but if you can help them to become a better person, a better young man, and through the avenue of basketball, why not? And that's what I'm in the business of doing. You know, I'm in the business of growing these young men into something that they can mature to be great men. And I love doing that. It's a passion for me.
And I mean, I don't know if you call it a foundation, but you certainly have had a camp of some sort in the last several years that kind of just zeroes in on this very thing for kids.
Absolutely. I have a brand called Graham Shooting Stars, and I've been doing it actually since I was in the NBA. Mm-hmm. After my rookie year, and I was touring around through Toronto, and, you know, I was doing some camps and some tournaments and stuff with the Raptors. I said, you know, I can do this on my own and help out and reach out kids, and a lot of guys do that now. They reach out and they brand their name, and they go out and have camps and, you know, kind of 3-on-3s and 5-on-5 tournaments and AAUs. It's grown in the last 10 years. And I figured, you know, when I was in the NBA, I could do this too. So my brand, Graham Shooting Star, actually started in 2006. And when I left Tampa, which is a huge market for a lot of kids with a lot of talent there, you know, kids play basketball everywhere. No matter where you go, TD, you're going to find somebody that's picking up a ball, you know, throwing something round into, you know, a hoop of some sort. So it's everywhere. And you can reach one kid, change one kid's life at a time. That's what I'm about.
When's the last time you took the old bird up and flew around town?
That's a good question, TD. A lot of people don't know that my contract didn't allow me to get up in the air. I wish it did, but, you know, a lot of teams didn't want to risk it. They put it in the category of extreme. I can't think of the name on the contract, what it said, but they looked at it like riding motorcycles and, you know, jet skis and all those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
So it took me away from it for a little bit, but like anything that you're passionate about, you kind of tend to go back to it. And I like to tell people I compare it to shooting a free throw, because I was once upon a time a great free throw shooter. Once you know how to do it, once you get the mechanics, it's like riding a bike. You never forget. You get a little rusty, you know, you might bobble off and fall off a little bit, but once you get the hang of it and get it back, it's like riding a bike. You never forget it. So eventually I'll get back up there. That's one of the reasons why I did move back to Stillwater, is to get back into that, and because I had a passion for it. You know, I had it when I was young age with my dad, and you know, he was a naval aviator. So that passion for me of flying planes will never go away, and I'll try to get back out there as soon as I can, as soon as I get away from these kids and get a bit of time away from the young ones here.
But your family is a delight to be around, and we always ask at the end of these things to kind of update. And we talked to you recently, but what's going on in the Graham family?
Everybody's good, TD. Everybody's healthy, which is the main thing. The kids are growing up faster than I like. Their mouths are getting a little bit more vocal, more verbal about, you know, saying things that they shouldn't be saying, because they're like sponges. They hear everything and repeat everything on the radio and the news. So you kind of have to watch them a lot more. But it's good. Everything's good. The wife's good. She's doing a great job of rearing up these kids, and she actually took a job on at the Stillwater Medical Center.
Really?
And she's aspiring to be a nurse. And, so everything is good over here.
And moving back was good for you, no question. I know you wanted to get back long before it happened, but getting back here, it seems to kind of all falling in place for you.
Well, if you pray about it, I believe 100% that God will answer your prayers. So I've been blessed with a great family, some beautiful kids, a great wife, and you're just moving on to the next chapter in your life and just try to be the best person that you can be at that. Just take it day by day.
Well, we know you can come in here. We know you can come in here and do radio and TV. I mean, you're kind of a superstar.
Well, I don't want to come over there and take anybody's job, TD, but, you know, I love talking to you guys. Anytime you want to pick my brain about anything, you know I'm here for you.
And I would imagine, I don't know what the off-season workouts are in high school, but on the basketball side, but I don't imagine you ever just forget about it, right? I mean, you're probably still working a little bit, moving toward the start of the season.
And it's the funny thing that you asked me that, though, TD, because everywhere I go, every kid that I see, I'll give you an example. I was training this morning into the gym, and a couple football players that are on the team now walked into the gym, and they said, "Hey, Coach, I heard some stories about you." I said, "Oh, what'd you hear?" They said, "I heard Kobe dropped 81 on you." And it's the funniest thing, because, you know, a lot of people in history, they remember you for some certain things.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't know the full story about that. I was a rookie, and I only played like 7 minutes, and he scored so many points. But it's part of it, and it's fun. You can laugh with the kids, and you can say, yes, I was part of the team that got scored 81 points on, but there was a lot of other things that I did great in the NBA as well. And I guarantee you don't want to play me one-on-one.
Yeah, and that's where the discussion probably ended right there. I would imagine.
That's how the conversation ends. You know, get a ball, come out here and play me, because I can still shoot, I can still jump. You know, I can still do everything that I used to do, just not as on the high level.
And you probably still could throw an elbow, too, which you used to be.
Oh, yeah, that's never going to go. I still got big, broad shoulders, so anybody that wants to body me up, you know, you might catch a little elbow here and there.
There aren't too many people around here who still remember that, but I do recall you doing that all the time.
A lot of people were scared of that, TD. You remember.
Yes, sir.
They used to tremble. A lot of scatter reports were saying, "Hey, do your best to guard him. He's going to get his."
Yeah. And try to stay away from that elbow, because he'll create some space.
Or you might get dunked on.
Hey, Joey Osoy, appreciate you, man. Good catching up with you and getting. I wanted to get your reaction on the Toronto deal, and we'll see you here from time to time. We'll get you on radio, TV, all that good stuff. But always enjoy it, bud.
Good. Absolutely, TD. Anytime, man. I'm here for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, bud. That's Joey Graham, one of the good guys, and he certainly had a little bit of a look back at Toronto, and I'm glad he had good feelings about when he was there, even though it was a while ago. But and boy, talk about those fans. He likes the people. You can imagine just watching those games on TV. Those fans were crazy. You can be crazy anytime. I understand when you're winning, but they seem to really be behind the team. So appreciate Joey being with us. Hey, that'll do it for this edition of Where Are They Now?